The Tempest UAV is one of the new top prizes in the raid, and today I want to determine if this is worth it, as well as show you a replay of this thing in action. Hey everyone, Derpy here, welcome back to another Battle Pirates video. As I get started, I do actually want to show you the Baron build I'm using in this video, which is linked in my build stock. You can check that build as well as all of my builds in the description of my videos. There's an Ares too, but I won't show you that one. I'll have you go look for yourself. Also, when I get started, I want to say that you can put this Omega weapon on for free if you first take off your old one, then fill up on base parts, and then install the new one. Two-stage, like we usually do in portals, should save you a little bit of refitting time on your, or equipping time. Now, what I want to do for the weapon is take a look at a quick Excel spreadsheet and then look at a replay of me hitting the base, to determine if this is actually working how we expect it. So I've got three different things shown here. I have the highrise, which has a very high range of 325. This is an Omega weapon, goes on your outpost. Same thing for the Tempest, range of 240, and a helix launcher, just to give you a comparison of what does this damage number and the damage per second number actually mean. And I'm just looking at everything, assuming it has 100% deflection bypass, and therefore damage per projectile is not very important. Okay, taking a look at the highrise, you can see that this thing does just about 500,000, so 500,000 damage per cycle. Now the cycles are pretty long. It takes 15 seconds for it to go through the whole fire between salvos, the telegraph reload, which is 3 seconds, that's pretty high, and go through the reload. This results in a very, very low damage per second of 37,000. What that tells you is that the highrise is a chip damage weapon. If we take a look at the Tempest, this is a UAV which gets really, really interesting. How a UAV works is that it fires UAVs which orbit around the ship, and that actual UAV then does the shots. And it has a swarm count. It orbits the ship for 6 seconds, and the UAV weapon shoots every 0.8 seconds, which means it shoots 7 times. You have to round down around there. So it's going to do that 275k damage split across UAVs, but we're ignoring that, to that one ship. And then this has the ability to chain. If you can chain within the chaining range, which I believe is 40, it can chain to 2 other ships and hit up to 3 ships. So theoretically, if an attacker has 3 ships within close proximity, this thing is going to fire 7 times at each one of those ships, which makes this thing pretty powerful in the best case scenario. Now, I think we should evaluate it against a single target, assuming attackers are pretty smart and are not going to stack their fleets or have them within 40 range of each other. Therefore, the single ship damage is what we should look at. And this number of basically 2 million is a lot higher than the old number of 500k, so that's pretty good. Now this 2 million damage is going to be over 6 seconds on that one ship, and even over up to 18 seconds if it's on a second ship there. Damage per second is 125k, which is a lot higher than the old one of 35k. Now, if you chain, you can just multiply these numbers by 3, because chain count of 2 means it chains once to ship number 2, second time to ship number 3. You can do up to 6 million damage per output here, which is damage per second of the cycle time of just under 400k. So this thing is an improvement. But I have the Helix launcher on here with a few specials. By the way, the Tempest and highrise are Omega weapons, which are not turrets, and therefore do not benefit from tactical installations. I could actually just delete this cell right here. And the Helix does, so I'm kind of showing you my build for the Helix here. Now, something you want to consider here is the Helix does have a very short range, but the damage per second of that, not including the shockwaves, just the pure projectiles, is 370k. So in the best possible scenario, which you're probably never going to hit, the Tempest will do just about the same as a regular turret. In other words, this thing, in the best possible case, makes up the one turret and is going to be chip damage. Let's go ahead and take a look at a replay using this. As the replay starts, you can see that the UAVs are going to launch from this guy's outpost and be on my areas very, very quickly. Now, honestly, this is doing more damage than a highrise does. I'm noticing that the ship over 6 seconds is taking a considerable amount of damage. Now, yes, there are other missiles shooting at this, but the Executioner 3s really do almost nothing in today's game. My Ares, I can tell, is dying more quickly. Now, of course, this is just going to be chip damage, and you are going to want to consider the concussive defense on your Conqueror hulls. The Baron, for instance, I believe has a 50% concussive defense, which means it will take a lot less damage. You can verify that by going in your own shipyard to check out some of that stuff. Now, my Ares dies pretty quickly, it just clears a few mines, and the UAV targets the ship number 2, which is going to go off screen here. As you can see, not a lot happening. It is scratching the paint. There is a red mark on that ship, but it's kind of just chip damage. It's going to take a little bit more here when it's going to be off screen as I zoom in and take a look at the rest of the items. Now, I'm going to start rushing through the channel, and this is a good time to mention that, yeah, I'm showing you a replay, yeah, it's got someone's name on it, don't really care. I actually end up losing this battle to give you away the ending. I have a U0 Baron and an Ares, so that's not entirely surprising. I bet you 5 U1 Ares could get in here relatively easily. Now, as I'm rushing through here, notice that the UAV is chaining from that lead ship onto the second and third ships because they are all close enough, so there's something to be aware of. But it's not like this thing is a nuke that's just massively killing the Baron. It is doing more than, say, the high-rise missile would, especially because it can chain, and there are UAVs from the Wolfsbane here, making it a little difficult to see what's going on, but it is doing something, and it is bouncing around to a few ships. It hasn't quite hit the last ship yet, but it is still going on the first one, chaining off and everything. Now, it's kind of hard to tell. There's a bunch going on here as well, which is why I showed you that spreadsheet initially. This thing is doing a, modicum of damage. It is hurting the Baron. The Baron in base has up to, let's see, if we look at our concussive defense on our Baron U1, it has 55%. So the damage numbers I showed you, you can cut in half. So best case scenario, you're doing 6 million damage, divide that by 2, it's 3 million every 15 seconds, which is not a lot. Like I said, end up losing here. If you want to consider what would happen if I have a full U1 for Elite, you are more than welcome to. And of course, here is the Baron build that I was discussing right here. You can see that the concussive defense at U1 gives you 15%. I don't have any armors on there, still the invader flates, and the concussive defense is at 55%. So there is the Omega, and there's not really a build to this thing per se. All you have to do really is equip it on here. I have mine, and now in terms of the question of is this thing worth 15 million points? Well, I think yes, because it is an improvement over the high-rise. The high-rise did just about nothing to the Baron or any of the other hulls around its class, and I think that it is going to be better and is going to be worth it. Is it worth that full 15 million? Only if you're a PvP player and you care about PvP. If you want a nuke that will keep all the Conquerors out of your base, this is not going to be that, and honestly, that's probably a good thing for the game. Those are my quick thoughts on this. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. I did have the math looked at by a few other people, and it should check out, but there's always a possibility something is slightly wrong, which is, of course, why I showed you the replay. With that said, and until next time, this is going to be Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate.